Okay, so this video covers the formation of the turret shape, and I've already got this one started, but I'm going to show you what I've done so far. I just wanted to give it a little bit of time so it's a bit more rigid when I'm adding the second part. So first thing you want to kind of do is take both sides of your turret, top and bottom, and fold these things over so that they're already sort of sitting in the shape that they're going to end up finally. And then we want to make these front two connections. So here we got the 4-to-1 glue. And you can see I've got a variety of patches here, pre-cut. A bunch of small ones, and then some slightly larger ones. And those are, again, just tracing paper. And there's two ways to kind of make this connection. You can either do it all at once, which is actually in some ways a little bit easier. Because you can see what you're doing when you set the patch in place. And the other way, kind of like the way we did before with the other parts, is to attach it to one side and then wait and attach it to the other. Now the reason that I wouldn't really suggest that is because when you attach it to one side, it's really hard to see the shape of the connection that you're making. And so if you can just do it all at once, it's actually a little bit easier to get the exact shape you're looking for, simply because you can see what you're doing. So, like, generally, especially if you don't use much glue, these will be ready to go right away, but I'm just going to use this one because it's had 5 minutes to dry. We're going to move on to putting this part. Now, you really want to kind of test the fit this, because depending on how you've cut these pieces, how accurate you've been, for one, and sort of how the cardboard has folded over on you can make a big difference on how this all fits together. So you really want to kind of look and see how it's gonna go, and just test it a little bit. And then we're going to attach, first starting with the front here. You can see how important it is that the pieces sort of sit in their shape, so you don't have to hold everything while you're trying to glue it. I'm just going to place a patch here for now. Make sure everything is sitting correctly. And then attach it. And it's pretty cool because you can kind of use the patch to pull the parts into place where you want them. Now, let that one side out so it matches here. And we're going to attach this to there. So again, these connections are sort of easy to do all at once, rather than setting the patch, letting it dry, and then just keep the glue down to a dull roar on your brush, and you'll find it a lot easier to attach it all in one go. So let's have a look at the other side. Make sure we match how it's attaching on both sides. Just like that. Patch there. Oops. See, you gotta be careful about where you put your fingers, or they can easily get in your way. Again, another reason why having them just sort of sit in their final desired position is very much to your advantage. Which is why you do the over folding in the beginning. Go. Make sure that goes in exactly the right spot. The more accurate we get it now, the less fiddling we'll have to do later. Okay, so that looks looking good. Those should be easy to cinch up. Don't expect that it will be super perfect fit everywhere. I mean, it's really hard to get all of your cuts exactly perfect. Okay, so got another connection up at the top here. And there we go. And the other side, exactly the same thing. All right, great. Now, let's get these parts into position. It's not gonna be exactly a perfect fit. So the best thing to do is to maybe try and trim this a little bit. Careful of your fingers when doing things like that. So I was obviously not that careful. I didn't cut myself, but be more careful than me. Okay. So you can kind of see, you want that to form its weird front angle that the Panzer IV had here on the turret. Now another way to kind of, if you don't mind holding it, you can do it sort of without patches by putting glue in underneath there. But you gotta kind of hold it for a while. It can help to kind of even do both. So you slip a little bit of glue under here, pop it into place. Now see, there's a gap there. We'll just cover that with either layers of glue later or another patch. It's not a big deal. The imperfections, in some ways, make the model look distinct and weathered and a little bit beat up by battle. Even though it seems like you're messing it up at the time, it kind of can look cool. So we'll just cover this gap here with a patch. And there's one more part to attach here, and that is the turret back. You can see kind of how these solid red lines. Now these red lines denote like sort of a rolled part. So not folded, but rolled. And it's obviously not extremely rolled, because you can see how it fits onto the back just like so. Or it should fit onto the back, hopefully. Fairly easily. Now you can see that I didn't really trim enough off the top there. Still got lines visible on both sides, so don't be afraid to trim parts down if you need to. I need to, so I'm going to do that. Okay. Let's cut a couple little patches here, or rather medium-sized patches. Now, most of this is, especially if you're building a ration box, it's kind of an optional addition. It's not an easy thing to build, but most of this back part is covered by the ration box eventually. So if you don't get it perfect or it needs a bit of trimming, I wouldn't worry too much about it. It isn't an easy part to install, nor could it be included on either the bottom or the top of the template. It's just a really odd shape. Okay, I need to unbow it a little bit at the bottom here. Okay, it's starting to look righter. I'm gonna have to trim these little corners. Not quite looking right. I'm going to do that after it's on here, if I can. Worry about that later. Now, best thing to do to get it to stick correctly is to actually slip a little bit of glue under these leading edges. Kind of hold it down for a second here. Try to get all of this to meet up, and then we can patch from the top. And then just kind of try to make sure everything's going right into place. Again, we're going to take a blade and trim down where we don't like any of this stuff. It's a complex turret shape, so be prepared to do a bit of either sandpaper work or just blade work after you're done forming the shape to kind of even out the angles. A good way to do that is actually to harden it first, which we'll cover in a little bit. But let's let this dry. We've got a usable turret there.